Our United Way Spotlight of the Week is on Lionhearts, and I'm joined by Brenda Moore, Project Coordinator. Hey, Brenda, nice to see you.
Hi, Donna. Thanks for having me.
So Lionhearts has opened a warming center. That's your latest initiative?
That's correct.
And tell me
Um,
about it.
we, so we need to have somewhere where people who are unhoused in the evening to go to get some warmth from the weather. We've been blessed not to have too much cold weather yet, but it certainly is going, we know it's going to come. We need to have a spot where folks can get a hot meal, some dry clothes, some fresh socks, a warm jacket, warm blanket, before they need to head back outside. And it really provides great respite for people who don't have anywhere else to be in the evening in our community.
So you open at what time until what time?
So we are our permanent hours are from 8 o'clock until 11:30 midnight kind of range, and that we started that on December the 27th.
All
In
right.
addition, on December 27th, we were also doing takeaway meals, and Lionheart stepped into that role for a week because the other meal providers like Martha's Table and Lunch by George and St. Vincent de Paul, that their staffs needed a much deserved break over the holidays. So Lionheart stepped in and was doing their takeaway meal service from 6 until 7. And now that the meal providers are back doing their wonderful work, we don't need to do that anymore. And so we're just open now from 8 till midnight as the warming center. And it's at 218 Concession.
It was the Oddfellows.
That's right. It
Right.
was the Oddfellows Hall. Still has that sign up there, so
Right.
you
Right.
can look for that sign and they know they're in the right place.
Right. It's between Macdonell and Victoria. Am I right there? It's somewhere in that
I think so. I think so. I think that's pretty close to the cross streets.
yeah on
Good
Concession.
location for people to come along up to.
Yeah, and it's actually a fairly big building. It's just deceptive from the road just how big it is. What happens if somebody says, "Well, I don't have any place to sleep tonight"? Is there any? Can they stay over there, or no? Is this strictly just an evening warming center?
Right now, it's just an evening warming center, but based on the weather, what happens with the weather, we can open a few beds if we need to. But in the coming days, we are working towards having beds open 7 days a week in the upstairs portion of that building. We're just not quite ready for that yet. So at this point, if somebody comes to the evening program and needs some help getting to another place, we can direct them to some of the other shelters that are available, and put them in a taxi to get them there so that they have the shelter they need for that night.
Okay, now Lionhearts, I'm always amazed how fast they can pull something together and respond to the needs of the community, like the nightclub last year that they used, and it's really amazing, amazing to me. What are the challenges you're running into these days?
So I think that's one of the key things that Lionhearts has proven to the community that they do very well, is be responsive to what the needs are. And the other thing that they do incredibly well is they gather all the right people around the table to plan what has to happen. And so what our challenge was to get things up and running very, very quickly. And so we counted on some very generous tradespeople and people from our volunteers working right up to the 24th of December, trying to get things ready to be open for that Monday, the 27th. So that has been a big challenge, but we were able to do it. There's still a few things that need to be put in place. Like I think the dishwasher got hooked up yesterday, but you know Lionhearts is very good at making things happen and working with what they have.
And speaking of working with what you have, so it's mostly food that, at least that was the origins, is providing meals. And as I recall, you set up in a park and people would come and get a takeaway meal during the early days of the
Right.
pandemic. So you get food coming in from different sources. How do you figure out what to make that day? You know, like
We have the most
it's sort of
amazing
on a big
chefs.
scale. It's like on a big scale of me opening the fridge and saying, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? And only yours is on a really big scale. So how do you figure these
Absolutely.
out?
Yeah. Well, I think what the blessing is that we get an awful lot of really quality food donations. So it's not something that has to be used that minute or it will go bad. It's something that has a few days life in it. So our chefs literally look at what they have in front of them and then they think about, what could I make for 300 people? And then they use the donations, and there's always a little bit of grocery shopping that has to happen to round out whatever the recipe needs are. But they are very creative in what they come up with. And often when I walk into the kitchen at Lionhearts, oh, it smells so wonderful in there. And there is an entire lineup of takeout containers that are being lovingly filled with glorious food.
So give me an example of some of the meals that you could pull together, because I'm thinking that someone out there who's finding their grocery dollar is not stretching quite as far as they would like it to. Maybe they can, pick up a few tips. So what are some of the meals that you've seen them preparing?
I've seen beautiful stir fries. I've seen delicious looking pasta dishes. I've seen sandwiches like pulled pork on a bun, lots of veggies. I've seen salads. Last week, the smell I'm remembering is the shepherd's pie that was being made in individual containers. So they are, it's fruit, vegetables, fresh food as much as possible that goes into these meals and freshly prepared that day.
Well, the great part about shepherd's pie is you can use up a whole lot of vegetables, like carrots that are getting a little wonky, and potatoes that are getting a little spongy. And so, yeah, a good way to use up something like that.
And that's actually a good tip for families, because you see sometimes those, wonky looking carrots and potatoes that are maybe close to the date, and they do cook up very well. And they're often at a reduced price at the grocery store now too. So that is a good thing to make use of.
I've heard people even go this far. I don't quite go this far, but when they peel potatoes, carrots, anything, the ends off broccoli, just everything, they don't throw them away. It doesn't go into the compost. It goes into like a freezer of some sort. And when they get enough, they boil it, and that makes soup stock.
Yep.
And
I've heard of that as well. And at Lionhearts, when there is nothing else that can be edible for people left of whatever is donated, we have farmers that pick up the remains for their animals.
oh,
So
that's
we
great.
try to make sure that everybody gets fed.
So from an environmental point of view. So
Yeah.
you have lots of help, you've got volunteers and all that, but I understand the United Way and the city have been really helpful to you. Can you tell me about that?
Donna, I can't think of another city where the United Way and the city staff work so closely together. And they are both, along with other partners, but really the driving force to making things happen in the not-for-profit sector in Kingston is the partnership between the city and the United Way. And they are definitely two groups that have the resources to make things happen. And another person that needs to be thanked about the warming center is the new owner of that building, Jay Patry. He generously has made that space available, and that is a huge benefit to the community. And then once we have the space, the city to be able to use all of their resources to make sure that the space is fire safe and electrically approved and all of those things. And then the United Way to make sure that there's money available to buy fridges and stoves and all the things that we need to make it run. We are very blessed in Kingston that we have the city and the United Way working so closely together and really listening to what the needs of the community are and making those things happen to serve everybody.
Well, we're lucky to have Lionhearts on the scene. So thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you.
us today.